Hi, good morning, everyone. My name's Nick Cox. I'm the managing partner of Velocity Ventures, a venture capital firm based here in Singapore, which is focused on investment in early stage companies in the travel and hospitality sector. And I'm here today with Tai Wee, who is the CEO of Tourego, a very interesting company that's doing some amazing work around tourist refunds of GST. Tai Wee, welcome to our program today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Nick, for inviting me.
Thanks for joining us. Tai Wee, we'll jump straight in, and I wanted to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Firstly, can you tell us a little bit about Tourego and what you guys do?
Right. So Tourego is actually short for Tourist Refund on the Go. So as the name suggests, we help tourists get their tax refund in a safe and convenient manner, but using mobile technologies, because tax refund typically conjures images of having to stand in line and getting crowding with other people, handling cash. So we thought those are pretty passé. So what we try to do is to eliminate all these, but most importantly, I think during this period of the coronavirus, we want to introduce a solution for tax refund that does not require contact, and you can get your tax refund at a safe distance from other people, a safe social distance, by just punching a few buttons on your mobile device. So that's where we are headed towards. We're currently operational in Singapore and Japan, and we were about to go into the European market until the pandemic struck, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been tough times for us all in this space, but
yeah.
What a fantastic initiative, and great to see a local Singaporean company disrupting a global industry that's been dominated by, one or two big players. I think you've got some amazing opportunities there to really,
I think so too.
Make some headway. Obviously, COVID has had a huge impact on so many aspects of society and the economy, but the most impacted is cross-border travel. And cross-border travel drives the refund business. Tell us how, the effect must have been massive. Tell us how you've been affected and what you've done.
Yes. It's pretty unfortunate that the travel industry is, as you said, very badly impacted by this. And I think to compound matters, the travel industry will probably be one of the last industries to recover. So, given this context, what we have done is we undertook pretty aggressive cash conservation measures. So, but I'm very fortunate to have a really supportive team with me. So everyone took some financial sacrifices, but there were no layoffs. And of course, the Singapore government was really helpful with all the subsidies. And so we have reduced our net burn to a pretty sustainable manner. And we have a pretty okay runway for until the end of the next year or even the following year. So that's pretty okay. But it's not all bad actually, because with the pandemic, there is, obviously no sales, but it also takes the distraction of operations away. So now as a startup, we could focus a bit more on product development. And that's what we've been busy with in the past few months. And interestingly, because of the coronavirus pandemic, retailers that we have been engaging are now more open to new ways of doing the same thing, such as tax refund. So, so it's not actually all bad, and we do see light at the end of the tunnel.
That's great. And I fully agree. We're seeing the same thing in Velocity, a whole round of innovation that's being driven out of the COVID crisis, and companies reinventing themselves, new ideas emerging, older companies looking at new things. It does encourage innovation when you face adversity. There's no doubt about that. So what's your view, Tai Wee, about timing on a recovery?
Well, that's a very big question. But I think right now at this point in time, there's still a lot of uncertainty. We are seeing reports of so-called second waves in jurisdictions that actually perform pretty well initially, like Korea. But I also feel that there is more certainty, and certainty is starting, or rather clarity is emerging, particularly in the area of the vaccine development. So a number of countries have already gone into phase 3 clinical trials of their vaccine. So it is now pretty much acknowledged that probably towards the end of the year, this year, we could have a vaccine that could be administered on some scale. So that is pretty encouraging. So that is the clarity that I'm seeing. So obviously with the vaccine in place, more governments will be encouraged to open up their borders. And we have even seen examples of countries such as Singapore who are, well, can I say, more aggressive in opening up their borders unilaterally. So this is something that is pretty encouraging, and we hope more countries can open up their borders, obviously in a safe manner. So that's something that is clearer now. But at the same time, I would say that there could be other factors involved, such as the human confidence to travel. So even with a vaccine, there must be a propensity for people to want to take the vaccine in order to travel safe. And they must have reasonable confidence that the destinations they go to will offer them a safe environment to travel and tour and enjoy themselves. So there are a few factors at play in this period. So I think the recovery probably will start early next year, but could be a bit patchy.
Mm. Mm. Interesting. No, thank you for sharing that with us. And I think it's the view of many players in our industry that recovery will be there eventually, and eventually with the combination of a vaccine and green lanes and protocols between different countries, international travel will recover to the levels that it was pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. But in that process, industries will be transformed. And so how do you see the GST and the refund, the duty-free business post-COVID? Is it going to look different than what it looks today?
Actually, I think it would probably look a lot like what Tourego thinks it should have looked a long time ago. Okay. Yeah, I think the pandemic actually gives some impetus to change, because I think governments cannot adopt a business as usual attitude towards tax refund when the pandemic recedes. So it actually may not even be responsible to continue to ask tourists to stand in long lines, in crowds, to hand over physical passports to strangers and take it back, deal with cash most of the time, and making people stand in line before a customs officer, and only to find out that actually the customs officers just wave you away without checking anything. So I think these are experiences that we as travelers encountered. So this is something that is no longer a good idea, I would say, in a post-COVID world. So what should probably happen, all these things about citing passports and standing in line, handling cash, should all give way to a no-touch, contactless method of based on mobile technologies and risk assessment. There's actually no need to make everyone stand in line. Probably those who are more at risk needs to be checked. Yeah, so all these can actually already be done. So what we probably need is greater participation from regulatory authorities, and of course, Tourego can help with our in-house technologies.
Fantastic. Sounds well placed to take advantage of the new world, the post-COVID world. Now, in Founders Unplugged, we also encourage our founders to ask us the hard questions. Do you have anything that you'd like to ask the Velocity team?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I would be curious to know what is Velocity Ventures' position on the tourism sector during this period of the pandemic, from a VC angle.
Yeah. So our house view is that we are looking at a recovery back to 29 levels of tourism that we saw in 2019. Mm-hmm. Expect that recovery by the end of 2022. So that's our house view. And we think that the different elements of the space will recover at different paces. So a lot of people are talking at the moment about domestic tourism. Now, Singapore obviously doesn't have a massive domestic market. STB's announced that they will be providing some incentives and encouragement for domestic tourism. But that's clearly developing in many of the markets. But we see, as the opening of borders takes place through the vaccine and through protocols, as you mentioned, a recovery of the international traveller. F&B, which is another sector that we look at, has had more of a transformation than a setback, with home delivery taking the place of dine-in. So that's given rise to a whole lot of innovation around home delivery. So really we see the sectors recovering at a different pace.
That's very, very insightful.
Well, thank you for your time today, T. We really appreciate you joining us on Founders Unplugged here at Velocity Ventures. And we're wishing you all the best for your business at Tourego and personally as we work through this pandemic, and looking forward to seeing great things in the future for Tourego.
Well, thank you very much, Nick, and you stay safe too.
Okay.